In this video, we're going to talk about how to create a mail merge so that you can create a list, export it, and create labels, mailing labels, or even letters in order to send out, so that you can do it quickly and easily as a merge. We're going to kind of cover a lot of ground, and we're going to talk about Excel and ways that we can pull that in to Excel and Word and things of that nature. But we're going to start off this video with just pulling that list. So let's say, for example, I've got Metasys open here, and I'm in the electioneering tab. But let's say that I want to do a quick find, and I want to do a mailing list to, let's say I want to do a mailing list to Charlton. So I'll type in Charlton in the city field, and I want to mail, let's see, how about we mail out a mailer to Republicans between the ages, I don't know, of 30 ... to 55. For some reason, that's the group that we've decided to mail to in Charlton. So I'm going to go ahead and click Perform that find, and we see that there are 845 of them out of the 37,000 people in this district. So those are the people we want to mail to. So I'm going to go ahead and create a mailing list. Click on the Create Mailing List. It's going to chug through the work, and it's going to display the mailing list. Now, this particular mailing list, again, is going to, because it's a mailing list, it's going to give us the mailing address, not necessarily the home address, although it might be the same. But we want to use the Create a Mailing List because if they have a separate mailing address, we want to know that. We want to make sure that we send it to the right place. So I've created my mailing list, and I'm going to go ahead and export it to Excel. I'll click on the Excel button. It's going to ask us where we want to export it to, and I'm going to just choose, I happen to use a spot on Dropbox here for this. I'm going to put it in this class files here, and I'm just going to call this Charlton Rs 30 plus. That's just what we're going to call it. And it's selected as an Excel workbook, and we're going to automatically open the file once it has been created. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save, and it's going to save those fields. Now it's going to save actually more fields than what we see here if we need them, so that'll be good. But it's opening up the Excel file now, and there is my mailing list. So now that we've created the mailing list and we have it in an Excel spreadsheet, we do need to scrub this list. I'm going to just expand this out a little bit, but you can see the fields that we have: first name, last name, the street mailing list, it's called Street to Mailing, apartment, if there's one, apartment to designation, we're going to show you what that is here if we have any, and then apartment to mailing, city to mailing, state to mailing, and zip to mailing. Let's see if we have any apartments in here. So we do. This particular location, the apartment designation just puts the name, or I should say the label APT apartment, next to the apartment number. So in this particular instance, this person is going to get mailed at their apartment. So we have the mailing list. Now the next thing we need to do here is scrub this list. And what we need to do, when I say scrub it, what we want to do is remove the duplicates. We don't want to send more than one mail piece to a particular household. So I'm going to select, I selected all of the fields here. I'm going to click on the Data tab in Excel, and I'm going to click Remove Duplicates. And this is going to help me in figuring out what the duplicates are. Make sure that My Data Has Headers is checked, as it is here, because it's going to have the headers. And then we're going to unselect all. Now what we want to do is we only want to mail out those households that we have on here once. So we're going to search for those that have the same street mailing address, apartment designation, apartment to mailing in the same city. So what we're saying is we may have two different people at the house, so we don't want to do a search on first and last name. We want to make sure that we're just separating out the houses on the street if they're in an apartment in the same city. So I'm going to click OK. And it says that there were 135 duplicates found, and I should say 700 plus duplicates found, of which 135 were removed, and it leaves us with 710 unique values. So now we can be sure that we're only mailing out a household once. And here's our mailing list. Now, if we want to just mail to individual people, we can do that. But I like to do mailings to a household because we can't always be sure if somebody's moved, somebody's gotten divorced, somebody's passed away. And I hate sending mail to individuals when they may not be there anymore. So one of the things that I do is I'm going to select column C here, Street to Mailing. I'm going to right-click my mouse button, and I am going to insert a column. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in here, the header on my column is going to be household. Now you can, I call it household, you can do residence or some other generic term. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in household again, and we'll show you where we use this. And I'm going to copy that to everybody. And you know what? First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually make it all caps because everything else is all caps. OLD household. And we'll show you why we're doing that as well. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to select these fields. I'm just holding down my Control key and I am, or my Shift key rather, and I'm moving my way down through the list. Oops, we've gone too far. There they are. We're going to grab all of these, and we're going to paste that in. So now everybody has the household designation next to it. We're going to save that, and now we're in fairly good shape here. Let's just check. We got first name, last name, household, street to mailing, apartments, city, state, zip. Okay, so now we're in pretty good shape with our data that we want to export or that we want to have in our mail merge. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to open up Microsoft Word. And we're going to go here, find Microsoft Word, and open this guy up. Now, if you're familiar with making a mail merge, this is probably just old hat to you. You know how to do it. But for those of you that aren't, I personally like to just use the mail merge wizard. It just makes my life easier. I don't have to remember all of the nuances of making a mail merge. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the Mailings tab in Word. And one of the options here is Start a Mail Merge. But notice it's a drop-down. I don't want to just click on this button. I want to click on the drop-down here. And I'm going to choose Step-by-Step Mail Merge Wizard. And now it's going to ask me, well, what is it you want to do? So let's say here we're making labels. And I'm just making labels for my cards that I'm going to send out to everybody. Maybe that's what I want the mailing to be, just for some labels. So I'm going to choose labels, and it's going to walk us through the process. Step 1 of 6, next, start the document. So I'm going to click next, and it says how do you want to select starting document, change document layout, start from an existing document. That's fine. We're just going to leave this the way it is. It's going to say, what are your label options? I'm going to click on label options. And it should come up for me pre-selected because I've already done this a number of times, but I use the 5160 Easy Peel address labels from Avery. The 5160 is the same as the 8160, but that's the one that we've grabbed. So I'm going to click OK. Notice when I do that, now my document shows those label outlines. So the next step is to select the recipients. So once I've gone to step number 3, it's asking me, what do I want to use? I want to use an existing list. I could select from contacts in Outlook or type a new list, but we've already got our list selected. So we're using an existing list, and it says, well, where is that? So I'm going to click Browse, and we are going to navigate to our file, and there it is, Charlton Rs 30+. Double click. It's going to say, which sheet do you want to use? Of course, we only have one sheet. And, oh, by the way, it does say first row of data contains column headers, so that's good. And it brings up everybody in that spreadsheet. So we can see all the people in that spreadsheet. And they're all selected. You could unselect people if you wanted to individually unselect them, but we're going to leave them all selected. And just click OK. Now, one of the things you're going to notice is that now every field except for the first one says next record. We'll see where that comes in handy. So we're going to go on to step 4, which is arrange your labels. Now it's saying how do you want this information arranged here within the individual labels. Now we can go with things like an address block, a greeting line, but again, I tend to just go with more items, and it will give me all of the fields in my spreadsheet. First name, last name, household, etc., etc. Now again, because I like to mail to a household and not necessarily to individual names, and you may be different, that's fine, I'm going to start choosing things that I want in here. And the easiest way that I've found is just to choose the items that you want. So I'm going to say last name, insert, household, insert. We'll show you where that happens. Street to mailing. I'm just going to start inserting everything in here, and I'm going to insert everything except for the first name. And insert. So now I have this whole mishmash of names and, oops, let me close that. Mishmash of names in fields here. Last name, household, street to, and they're all kind of just crammed together. So we need to kind of make them into something more coherent. So as I select a field, you'll notice that the field itself becomes completely highlighted. I'm going to select in between the two. You see the two arrows right there, and I'm going to put a space. So what I'm saying is last name, space, household. Now it goes to the next line. That's simply because it doesn't have any room. The next one, I'm going to put my cursor in between the next two fields. I'm going to hit enter. And we have street to mailing, and I'll put a space next to apartment to designation. Next to apartment, to mailing. I'm going to put a line feed in city to. Now you notice that we're starting to lose them on the bottom here. So one of the things I'm going to do is just grab those while I'm here, and I'm going to change those just for my purposes right now to a small font so I can see everything. And I change them to an 8 just so I can see what's going on. And again, I have the last name, household, street to mailing, apartment to designation, apartment to mailing. I'm going to put a line feed in here at city to mailing, a space between, actually I need to put a comma, space, and then after state mailing we're going to put a period and a space. Now let's see how all that works out. That's kind of funky and it does a lot of things for us, but if I were to update my labels, it's going to give me all of that. Let's see, first I'm going to preview my labels, and now I can see what's going on. Those fields are inserted in here. Williams household, 12 North Sturbridge Road, Charlton. Remember we put the comma in, so we see comma, MA, period, in the zip code. So what we've done is we've put those fields on this mail merge. Williams household. The next one is the Nellis household. So we didn't use their first names, we just said household. You could use residence or something else, but I like to use household. And that way, even if it's just a single person, it's still a household or a residence. So now I've got this laid out somewhat the way I want it. Oops. I'm going to go back to previous and arrange my labels again because I want to make them look a little bit different. I'm going to select all my fields, and one of the things that you notice is there's a lot of space in between those lines. So I'm going to select everything, and I'm going to right-click my mouse, click on paragraph, and I'm going to pull out that spacing before. I'm going to just push my down arrow here and make it a 0. You'll see if you watch over here, when I hit OK, it's going to kind of take out all those spaces and suck everything up there. So now it's all nice and tight. So that's good. But the next problem I have is that it's too high to the top of the label. I want to give some space here. So I'm going to select my first row. Let me select everything in my first row. Right-click, go back to paragraph. And I'm going to give them a 6-point space just before the first line only. And you'll watch that it will push that down a little bit. So now I've given them some space from my top. And maybe I want that. So now I kind of have the label set up the way I want. I want to get it back to something I can see. 8 is a little bit too small for a label, so I'm going to move to a 10-point font. My label's starting to take some shape there, the way I want it. Again, I can update all of my labels so that everybody else is the same. Looking good. We'll preview those labels. We'll click Next and preview the labels. Now they're looking a little bit better. And I can play around with that and get them even more centered if I wanted to. I can go back And 6 point was certainly worked, but I'm going to push that down just a little bit more. I'm going to go 12 points and click OK. See, it pushes it down. And then I want to push it over even a little bit from the left-hand side. So I'm going to select everybody, go to paragraph, and have my left indentation, which is now at 0.07, and just bump that up to, let's try 1 and see what that looks like. Not enough. Let's right-click, paragraph, and go 0.2. Okay, so now we've kind of moved it down from the top and over from the left. We'll update those labels again so that everybody's the same, and we will preview. That looks much better. So now we have all of our labels laid out correctly. They all say household. They all have the address here, the mailing address. If they are in an apartment, and we did see one, but they were, if I remember correctly, pretty far down the list, so we may not see that here. But it would say after their address, apartment 1, apartment 2, whatever the case may be, Charlton, in this case the city, comma, state, period, and then the zip code. So these labels look the way we want them. Everything is in good shape. I can complete the mail merge, which is the next step. It's as simple as that. And now I can either print them, just send them to the printer the way they are. Make sure you put your labels in the printer, of course. I tend to like to edit the individual labels. When I do that, it gives me a pop-up that says merge to a new document. I'm going to click OK. You'll see what happens. It actually starts a whole new document. I do this because I like to save the document myself. I now have a new document. It's actually called Labels 1. And I'm going to save that. Save it as. We'll go back to Dropbox. Our class files. We'll call this labels. Charlton R30 plus. We'll save that, and now I can just print it off as a normal document. It will always be there. In fact, if I go and take a look in my Dropbox folder, let's just go take a quick peek. I have my Excel spreadsheet, and then my labels is a simple Word document. Okay, I can print those labels off the way they are. And again, I have them there. They're always a reference for me. So if I wonder at some point in the future, hey, who did I mail? I can go and take a quick look. So I'm going to close that off. This is my labels Charlton R30. Close that document out. I do still have my mail merge. I could save that if I want. As you can see, there are no more steps, but I could go back and change some things. So we're going to just close that out. It says, do you want to save it? I personally don't save that. I have the labels now. They're already saved, so I'm good to go. I'm going to close out my Excel spreadsheet, and we're back at FileMaker. So I hope that was helpful for you. It's a little bit of a step. It's a few steps, a little bit of a process to get that done. But once you get it done, the labels are easy to print off, and we're off to the races. So I hope that worked for you. And if you have any questions, please feel free to give us a call.